right here.
Yeah, he was second.
Okay.
He was the first Vanguard's president.
History always has to start somewhere.
Well, my journey, that's the most unique part probably of my career. It was more of an act of friendship than a desire to be a firefighter.
Sometimes history begins by examples set before us.
I first met my first Vanguard at the age of 14. That was Kenny Adams and Chief Luke. And, you know, those guys was like superheroes to me. It was something that I saw myself wanting to do one day.
And sometimes it forms from meaningful relationships.
So me signing up to help my friend allowed both of us to have a rewarding career with the fire department.
Each experience builds the legacy of the Vanguards of Cleveland, a primarily African-American organization dedicated to equal opportunities for all minority firefighters locally and beyond. It started in 1968, shortly after affirmative action policies were put in place. The group was one of the first organizations of its kind in the entire United States. Former battalion chief and the 7th president of the group, Johnny Brewington, says a major accomplishment was pointing out the flaws in the fire safety exam taken by all potential recruits.
So the Vanguards realized they had to come together and formulate a group to address the fact that even if you scored in the hiring range, that you had an opportunity to be hired. See, a lot of people look at the exam that it's about how smart you are. No, it's how exposed you are. And that's a separation, because a person with a perfect score and a person with a 1-point deviation, you could have 10 to 20 people in between because of percentage points.
He says even some of Cleveland's greats were overlooked because of that flaw in the hiring process during that time.
And a lot of people don't realize that Congressman Louis Stokes took the exam in 1952. Now, he scored in the range to be hired, but he didn't come on to the fire department. Now, we're glad that he went into politics, but a lot of people don't know he was in the top 100. I think he was number 52 on his list.
This is a photograph of the first ever Black Professional Firefighters Convention. It took place in October of 1970 in Hartford, Connecticut. And not only did it serve to unify Black firefighters, but inspired them to reach higher heights in their career.
The International Association of Black Professional Firefighters Convention still takes place today. The second level of unity allowed the Vanguards to advocate for many names now etched in Cleveland history. Their first president, Doug Dennis, who was the second Black firefighter hired by the department, Eugene Guyton, a battalion chief and former Tuskegee Airman, and Regina Williams, the first Black female battalion aide. They accomplished milestones like purchasing the first smoke trailer for the city and creating the Operation Save a Life smoke detector program. That began in the late 80s by Lieutenant Jonathan Perrys. It was a cause close to his heart. After losing both his father and uncle in separate house fires during his time with the Cleveland Fire Department.
When you are called for a purpose, you're going to endure a lot of tests and trials. And you're not going to understand why those things are happening, but the greater power is molding and making you into what he needs you to be, to send that message out, to be that change person, that change agent.
Operation Save a Life encouraged firefighters to install the detectors in homes instead of handing them out to families and never following up. Its local success propelled the program to be adopted and is still used today by the Red Cross.
And Cleveland was experiencing like 30 to 40 fire fatalities a year. And my goal was to try to get it down below 10. And eventually, now, it didn't happen right away after I left out of the public education office. And we had a fire chief, his name was Chief Stubbs. He was the first African-American fire chief. The year that he retired, we had 3 fire fatalities that year. And I cried. I said, did it, we did it.
The Vanguard's current president, Antoine Cruz, advocates for effective programs like Operation Save a Life every day. He says diversity within the department is a major focus of current recruitment initiatives.
The biggest thing is the community that we serve, 53% African American. So when you go out on a call, you're more comfortable, or we're more understandable of someone who looks like us. And that's what we speak on, why it's so important to have the diversity.
Back in the early days, that call for more firefighters of color also was a stand against the racist acts that took place in the firehouses.
Say we would go into the kitchen, we were all sitting around at the table, and all of a sudden, each guy would get up one by one, leave out of the kitchen, and you found yourself sitting there by yourself.
To find more diverse firefighters, the Vanguards start with high school students. The MLK Fire Tech program, started by Battalion Chief Brewington, is what inspired current Vanguard President Cruz to join the department in the first place and start the same sort of outreach.
So Fire Tech program in Warrensville, it's a 5-school consortium composed of Cleveland Heights, Bedford Heights, Shaker Heights, Maple Heights, and of course Warrensville Heights. That program gives sophomores the opportunity to get into a 2-year program, which they can get free firefighter training. So once they graduate and walk across the stage, they had a firefighter 1 and 2, and also the EMT.
These programs are history in the making, creating those meaningful relationships and those inspiring moments.
Was there anyone, have you come across anyone that you had a particularly inspiring effect upon, much like you were inspired so many years ago?
Yes, definitely. I can give it to one of my cadets, Singleton. I started the Warrensville program in 2016, and Singleton came in and he reminded me of myself. He had a lot of energy, wanted to play sports, but he didn't know what he wanted to do with his life. So once he joined the program, he started to fall in love with the opportunity of being a firefighter. And I can say today, Singleton is currently a firefighter for the city of East Cleveland. You know, I go down and I visit him and I ask him, how do he feel? And now he wants to be an instructor. He wants to go back and teach at high school.
And that's how the Vanguards of Cleveland will continue to make history, not just for the accomplishments of each firefighter, but the impact the group makes outside firehouse walls.
We view our jobs as something other than just responding. We believe in giving back to the communities that we serve.